This is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is The Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart, episode by episode, the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast. There are always spoilers about the future. There will be today.
Yep.
So, just a warning.
Yeah, this week we're talking about Season 2, Episode 12, The Descent. This one should have been called Rose. This episode is fully focused on Rose and...
Well, and Damon.
And Damon, yes.
So my thought is that it's more Damon's descent is really what this episode is.
Yeah, that's definitely where the title comes from, for sure.
But main characters don't get their names in the titles of the episodes, really.
They never do.
But yeah, that is this episode is Damon's descent for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We're going to build there.
Things are going to change.
Yeah. We got to start off kind of like where we left off from the last one, which is that, of course, you know, the werewolves had transitioned. Mm-hmm. Jules ran amok. And we're going to see the after effects of that starting right off in some random campgrounds.
Yeah. First real animal attack in Mystic Falls.
Yeah, the first actual, confirmed animal attack.
Yeah.
Jules wakes up, like, naked in the woods, and she finds a campground right next to her full of dead bodies, like, ravaged, torn apart bodies.
Yep. Yeah, limbs are just laying around everywhere. It's so weird.
Yeah, she clearly, like, just mauled this entire group of people. And she just starts going through their things, stealing clothes, getting dressed, and cleaning up like it's perfectly normal.
Yep.
And I just have to say, this is going to be a big rant of a scene. Because what other werewolf have we ever seen do anything like this? Literally ever.
That's why I'm shocked by the limbs. It doesn't make any sense. Like, a bite, sure. We've seen that. We've seen them be killed, like, by way of biting. But, like, tearing their limbs off their bodies?
Multiple people in one campground? Wouldn't they have been running away or something at this... Like, I don't know how this even gets achieved. It is not normal. Even Mason, who a few episodes ago... Because you could say it's an inconsistency where they decided this was how werewolves are going to be and then changed it later on.
Yeah.
But I don't think so because Mason changed a few episodes ago, like, right at Tyler's party. There were tons of teenagers, and he did have like a showdown moment, mostly with Caroline because she's a vampire. Yeah. But like Tyler talked him down, whatever. But still, he never actually went after anybody.
See, that's what I thought. I thought it was more like, sure, if they had all been vampires, he would have attacked them because it's the werewolf's instinct to attack the vampires, sure. But yeah, just random people like this, that doesn't seem to fit, like, at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's, again, like we talked about last episode, it's just working towards this point that they just don't want us to like Jules. She just sucks.
Yeah, she's just the worst. Yeah. I don't know. This is a really terrible scene for her. This is where I start to really not like her.
Yeah, because like I said last episode, I've been trying to pinpoint, like, where it is that I decided I don't like her. And I did want to say it was this scene, but the problem with this scene is this is pretty much similar to what we've seen people like Stefan and Damon and Klaus do. Like,
Stefan 1,000 times over has done this.
Stefan's killed the whole village. So has Klaus.
That's true.
So, like, I can't fault her for this necessarily, but usually after their rampages, we get, like, some sort of scene of, like, regret or struggle. Or, like, even with Klaus, where he can kill an entire village and, like, clearly, like, doesn't feel a thing about it. Yeah. We do know something about his emotional, like, place. And we're like, even though he's acting like he doesn't feel a thing about it, he definitely does.
He does, yeah.
Which might be true of Jules, but we don't know that because we never get any emotional scenes out of her or her thoughts or processes or, like, her life or why she does what she does. Like, I don't understand. Yeah. Like, frankly, like, did she even care about, like, Mason? Like,
I don't even think so at this point. It seems, and again, this comes through in, like, later episodes, but it seems like she's just very fixated on breaking the sun and moon curse. It doesn't... That's her only motivation within the show.
And, like, getting Tyler for her pack. Like, he's some little trophy. Like, I
it's
really
so weird.
Don't understand her character, and it just leads me back to being, like, they don't want us to. She's just supposed to be some sort of faceless, nameless type villain where it's just, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's part of it, and I think that comes through in what happens in the rest of the scene. So she's finding all of these limbs all over the place. And she starts, like, piling them up, and she finds, like, lighter fluid. Like, she's going to burn them all and, like, hide the evidence. Whatever. And then a park ranger or a police officer or whatever comes up and, like, drives up in their car and, like, finds her. And she immediately pretends to cry. And
like,
is, like,
so on cue.
Yeah, so on cue, so fast. And she's pretending to cry. And then the, park ranger or whatever talks to her. And she's like... my friend's, like, an animal attacked, and the park ranger asks if she's okay, and of course she is, and she's like, yes, it's just my friend's, like, whatever, and he goes to call it in, and Jules attacks him from behind and, like, hits him over the head with something and presumably kills him.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just something about that that kill that feels so unnecessary to me that makes me really dislike Jules.
It's so like psychopath.
Yeah, because it's one thing to go on this rampage when you're not really in your right state of mind. Like, okay. But then she could have just left the scene because, like, what's done is done. Those people are already dead. There was an animal attack. That's what ends up being happening. I think they talk about it in the next episode. They find all these bodies.
Yeah.
So, like, why not just leave them, leave the scene? Or, like, I don't know, just, like, leave the park ranger alive. He didn't really need to die. I don't know.
No,
it just seems...
because the people were killed by wolves. They're not going to trace that back to her.
Exactly. They're not going to be like, oh, you killed all these people by tearing them apart like a wolf? Yeah, it would have been fine. He was
also,
so
this
unnecessary.
Is a town known for animal attacks. Like, let's be real.
Exactly. It genuinely would have been fine. In fact, probably would have worked out for the best for her. It would have been blamed on vampires.
That's true.
So, like,
if anything, I think really she's just saving herself, like, the bureaucratic struggle of having to like, go in and
she's got to
like
go be like interrogated. Yeah,
she can't leave
fair
the
enough.
state. Blah blah blah. But it's like, come on, come on, Jules. It's worth a man's life to not have to go through that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think that's what gives me the really bad taste.
Yeah, I agree. It's all around. Everything about Jules
about her
is a bad
good.
taste. Yeah. So that's it for Jules for now. She's just killing people and wreaking havoc. So at the Salvatore house, Elena has arrived. She shows up in Stefan's room. He's getting dressed or something because he's randomly shirtless.
Sure.
We were watching and Rachel's like, why is he just shirtless? And I was like, because he's hot. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Does there not be another reason?
Obviously. Yeah, I mean, I meant like in world, but I guess also true in world.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Elena's coming. Let me rip off my shirt really quick.
Pretend like I'm getting dressed. Yeah.
But this scene is really giving season 1 vibes again for me. Like, they were using that score that I felt like they used more so in season 1. They used it in the last episode too, but it's definitely that, like, I don't know, it's that certain vibe. And I think it's them being together too. Like, I really do like them when they're together and they're not being like the tortured vibe that they so often have to be. And you know, they get into that in this scene because, like, they're trying to pretend things are good, but Stefan, like, can't really.
Yeah,
like,
he's not having it.
And Elena's, like, saying, like, don't ruin the moment. And he's like, I'm totally ruining the moment. But, like, you know, he is worried about Elijah and this deal that she made. And, like, you know, he is, like, going along with this idea that Catherine gave him that he thinks he needs to follow up with Isobel, that the next move is to go to Isobel. And so, you know, Stefan says that, you know, he didn't make a deal with Elijah. Elena made a deal with Elijah. She should keep to that deal. But Stefan, he didn't make a deal with Elijah, so he doesn't care. And while they're having this conversation, Elena is prepping, like, cups of vervain. Yeah. She's, like, putting vervain in water or something, and she drinks some, and he drinks some.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why were we not already doing this,
We should have been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, someone did comment, because we talked about this before, when we said Elena should have been on vervain when she was compelled by Elijah. Someone did comment this, and it was a really good point, that Stefan was feeding on her at that point. So, of course, she wasn't taking it. But Stefan and Damon should have been taking vervain this whole time, as soon as they found out. And I thought that was introduced.
Well, I think they only found out that Elijah could compel vampires last night when Catherine was compelled in front of Stefan. I don't think they knew before that, which is why they weren't doing it. So, like, I do get it, but, like, they knew Catherine had built up a tolerance, like, episodes ago. Because that's what they refer to in this, is they're like, oh, well, Catherine built up a tolerance, so, like, it won't be so bad at some point. Wouldn't they have questioned, like, maybe we should be too? Especially after Mason poisoned their lemonades.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't we be a little on top of this? Like,
you would think, yeah.
I don't know. But now it's become, like, not just a, like, maybe a good idea. Now it is truly a necessity. Yeah. Elena should have already been. The girl should have had an IV on tap while she was sleeping.
Yes.
Just to vervain constantly being pumped into her bloodstream. But
true.
Not there yet for some reason. And they reiterate that they don't know anything about, like, the originals, that, like, probably nobody does, including the writers a little bit.
Yep, a little bit.
So they're going to go with the Isobel plan because, like, maybe she'll be the one who does know or could find out for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, like, what's going on with Elena and Stefan right now. It's just, like, he's going to go off and do this Isobel thing, and they're going to take vervain and, like, see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Downstairs, though, in the Salvatore house, Damon is talking with Rose. And they're talking about, you know, Rose is just looking terrible. She's looking so ill.
Not good.
She looks terrible. She's saying, you know, like, we don't get sick. Like, she hasn't been sick in forever. And she's saying also, she's had a long life. It's okay if she dies. And, of course, Damon is, like, making jokes the whole time. He's saying, you know, if she was a wine and she'd been alive that long, you know, she'd be a fine wine or whatever. And she says Damon gives her some blood and says it will heal her. Blood heals. Mm-hmm. She drinks the blood and she says she does feel a little bit better. So Damon goes to check her wound and he like pulls down like the shirt and it looks terrible. It's disgusting.
Way worse than it was.
Worse. Worse than when it first happened. Worse than at the end of the episode when we saw it again. And it just looks very, very bad.
Yeah, that makeup department is putting in the work this week.
They were. I mean, it looked genuinely disgusting, and I feel like it worked. It worked well. The makeup was well done.
But Damon lies, and he's like, "He looks better, right, Elena?" Because Elena shows up right at that point.
Yeah,
and he's not telling it at all, but he's trying to.
No.
And, so Elena's kind of just standing there, and she's also trying to, she's act like it's okay.
Better. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But then Damon walks over to her, away from Rose, and Elena's immediately like, is she going to die?
Yeah, which I was like, she still has vampire hearing. She can still hear you say that.
And Damon says, she's probably going to die.
Yeah.
But he kind of acts like he doesn't care about it, which also Elena had interjected that, Damon needed to catch up with Stefan about this whole Isobel plan. And he's like, no, I agree with Stefan. We shouldn't trust Elijah, so I'm not going to do that. So instead, Damon asks Elena to play nurse for Rose to take care of her since he won't be able to do it. And he also says Elena won't be able to help herself. She's a do-gooder, so she'll obviously do it. But again, in this conversation, the Salvatore boys, in a couple episodes ago, are so in denial. This time it is all of Damon's turn because when they're talking about Rose dying, he's like, he admits that she's gonna die. Yeah. But what he doesn't admit to is that he cares that she dies. He says that it doesn't matter, that it it's fine, whatever. And Elena's just giving him looks like, are you crazy?
She knows. We all know.
We all know.
Yeah.
Except for Damon, apparently.
Yeah.
Whether he knows or just doesn't want to acknowledge it, I'm not sure. But it's not looking too good. Man's in denial.
Yeah, he's very much in denial. Rose also not looking good, so.
Yeah.
You can see where this is going.
Good. Maybe a little bit better is the school.
Oh, barely.
Yeah, back to the teenage drama that we've been missing out on for a minute.
Yep.
Caroline shows up, not with the studs on her jacket. I was dying. I was like, this was 2010s fashion.
I know, those
definitely
studs,
had a jacket like that.
They jumped right out at me as soon as I saw them. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, this era's coming back for us. People are going to have studs on their jackets again any minute now.
Oh, my God.
It's insane. I was like, I love this. This is so funny.
I actually don't hate it, but
I kind of hate it.
I do a little, yeah.
It's so funny. Anyway, so Caroline shows up and goes right to Tyler, and for some reason they're all at the school decorating for some event that is never clarified what it is.
I think there's a banner that shows for 2 seconds. It says Booster Club Barbecue. What that is. Also, Tyler's wearing his football jersey.
But it's clearly freezing outside because he's got a long sleeve under it, which makes no sense because he's a werewolf, so he's supposed to always be hot, but clearly they were like, Michael Trevino shouldn't suffer for Tyler's.
Just because Tyler's runs hot, he doesn't.
Yeah. But anyway, so they're doing this random event. And, Caroline's saying, that they should celebrate their victory because Tyler got through his first full moon and, it was okay in the end. But, that Caroline is supporting Tyler through the transitions and, they need to be, more careful about it because he almost got out and bit her and that would have not been good. And it's so funny, this conversation is flirty for a second.
It's so flirty. He thanks her for helping him, and she just kind of smiles at him, and it's so flirtatious.
Oh my God,
and I was also thinking she's so pretty. It was so cute. I liked it.
Yeah, it's so flirtatious for a minute until it gets into this really serious stuff of we gotta be careful because I could die.
Yeah, which I forgot Tyler didn't know.
Yeah, which I'm sure he could assume as a wolf, I don't know, he could rip her apart or something.
Yeah. Right.
But that's not even, if he nips her, she'll die.
Yeah.
And so she reveals that, of course, because he's like, why would it be so bad or whatever? And she says well, the legend says that it could kill me. He's like, what? Weird. Well, how did you know this? And she's like, I read it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just such an awkward conversation. She clearly can't talk her way out of this.
Yeah, because he still doesn't know that there are other vampires, which I also forget.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I forget how in the dark he is.
He's so in the dark. She lied to him, and he's just buying everything she's selling because he thinks she's cute. She is cute. Let's be real.
She's beautiful. I believe her. Yeah.
But yes, Caroline is saved by Matt coming over.
Yes. saved, but not. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. And so, yeah, she doesn't have to talk her way out of that so much because, yeah, he comes over and she immediately starts trying to clarify to Matt that, like, the Tyler thing is not.
Which...
always red flag.
Yeah, I was going to say, methinks the lady doth protest too much because Matt says nothing. He just comes over casually. Like,
yeah.
He's not even giving her a look. And she's like, it was nothing. I swear. I have no feelings for Tyler. Like, trust me. Girl, we saw the smiles.
Yeah, we saw the smiles. Matt didn't see the smiles, but we saw them.
We saw them.
But good on Matt because he does say, like, oh, I believe you.
Yeah,
like, yeah, I trust
exactly.
you. Yeah, and so I love, shockingly, too, that he immediately believes her because let's be real, this was not the Matt of the last time they were dating in, like, the first couple episodes
I know.
of the season.
When she immediately said that, I was kind of thinking, I was like, oh, he's going to have a problem with this, isn't he?
Yeah,
but no.
Luckily, he's still in his, like, good era. For now.
Yeah.
But so they're good. And he tries to kiss her. But it freaks her out and she walks away and it's really awkward. So obviously she is still wary of being with Matt. Like the reason they ultimately broke up was because like, well, her bloodlust at the time, she couldn't control herself. But like obviously like pulling him into this vampire world is just too dangerous for him.
And she can't fully be honest with him, which is what Caroline and Tyler talked about in like, I think the last or maybe 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Which is still true.
Yeah, and I felt like before when they broke up too, a lot of it was honestly just because she was having a hard time controlling herself. But like now it's fully just the honesty thing because she's really got herself under control. So it's interesting that, I don't know, she still feels that the honesty is enough to keep them apart. So they're broken up still for now. He's trying to kiss her in the parking lot. So we'll see how long that lasts.
It won't.
Yeah.
It never does with the teen drama aspect.
It never does.
The Caroline plot in this episode is our little teen drama plot for this one.
So now back to the actual drama.
Yeah. Back at the Mystic Grill, Jules is asking Liz about Mason. Even though she just like committed like multiple murders, she approaches the sheriff.
Yeah,
ballsy.
I was like, bold of her to go straight to the sheriff at the bar, dressed in clothes that she stole from her mass murder this morning. Yeah. And just ask about her buddy Mason. Like, come on.
Yeah. Hey, again, I don't like her. She has a terrible vibe. This is another reason. I'm like, any normal person would be avoiding the police. Yeah. But she's the worst, so she's not. But Alaric is overhearing this, and of course, he's got to call Damon, his boss. He's got to report back to him to carry that bit through. And so he's also always at the grill because it's just like season 1. They didn't want to give him an apartment.
That's what I wrote too. I was like, of course, Alaric is obviously just there. One of his 2 locations that he's allowed.
He's only allowed. Yeah, they haven't given him an apartment yet.
Once in a while, if he's lucky, he's at the Gilbert house. Other than that, the school.
School or the grill.
And we've barely been at the school, so they had to put him in the grill.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't seen the school in years. These kids are failing out. But
yeah, they are.
But yeah, Alaric overhears this, calls Damon, tells him Jules is there. And Stefan approaches Alaric after he gets off this phone call. And Stefan is asking him about Isobel. Yeah. Because Stefan is still very fixated on this idea that he has to reach out to Isobel. So he asks how to contact her. And Alaric says, you can't trust her, basically.
Yeah, because he quickly puts together that it's not about Rose, it's about Elena and getting like contact for Klaus. And he's like, even for Elena, you can't trust her. I found this dynamic so interesting. It's a rare moment that we get a Alaric Stefan crossover.
Interesting.
Is it just me, or do they have the weirdest standoff energy every time?
Okay, I thought that. I was like, they have really weird, like, not even chemistry, but they feel like they're at odds. Yeah.
Is it just like Matt and Paul? Like, I know that they don't necessarily, like, they have big tension, like, in real life. So I don't know if that just
was that even then?
In season 2? I don't know. It seems kind of crazy, but maybe it was. But it's also weird because you hear reports about how, like, Nina and Paul have said they didn't like each other in the first season.
And they get along just fine. You'd never know.
Yeah, they're professionals. Elena and Stefan, you'd never know the difference. Yeah. But for whatever reason, Alaric and Stefan is just a weird vibe.
They have a weird vibe. I thought that too. I was like, this feels like they hate each other for some reason. I don't know.
Real life energy bleeds in sometimes, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. That's for them to know and us to speculate.
Yes, definitely.
So that ends that for now. Obviously, Damon's been on call, and so we'll see where that goes a little bit later. But for now, we got to check in back at the Salvatore house where Elena is, of course, helping Rose. She brings her into Damon's room, and It's just so crazy. This is the first appearance of Damon's room.
I know. When I saw it in this episode, I was like, I can't believe this is the first time we're seeing Damon's room.
I know. It's kind of weird because part of me thinks it would be a lot later, but then part of me is like, it's so intrinsic to the show. It feels like it should be earlier. But this is the first appearance of the room. And Elena sees he's got like a Gone with the Wind book on his bedside, like a really old looking one.
Yeah, it definitely looks like an older copy. And it's also like on top of a stack of books that are piled up on the floor next to the bed. Yeah. And like it's just like dark wood everywhere, and the bed is just like so big. Yeah. I don't know. It's just the vibes of Damon's room are so good.
Room.
Yeah. I love his room.
I really like Stefan's too, like the big loft, and it's so full of stuff. Like it does feel like a vampire's lived a very long life and collected it. Yes. But Damon's is so distinctly different, and I don't know how to pinpoint the vibe really. I know. But it's very lived in a nice way that's like still like well curated. Because it's also like, I love the bathroom that's like combined with it, that's like just open. It's just open, and a glass shower, so you just walk in and he's just naked. That's the vibe.
I know. I'm like,
which we'll see in the next one,
that there never seems to be a door on this bathroom. I think it is literally just open.
Yeah, it's all open.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, so love his room. And so when Elena's first helping Rose in, she's talking about how she's a vampire. She hasn't even had a cold in 500 years. Yep. Which is crazy to imagine. Like, for 500 years being in absolute perfect top-tier health, more than you could ever be as a human, to having to suffer the torture of a werewolf bite. That is so unfortunate.
It would only feel that much worse.
Yeah, it would definitely be worse. So anyway, so Rose, Elena helps her into the bed, and they're joking about stuff about, because Rose calls out, like, you've never been in here before. Yeah. And Elena says she was expecting silk sheets. That was the only thing she, like, really imagined. And yeah, Rose and Elena are really getting like a chance to kind of bond and be like, we talked about it a couple episodes ago when they went to Slater's, that they kind of bonded too. And I feel like this scene too reiterates where it's like, they really could have been like friends. Like, I feel like they would have gotten along.
Yeah, the conversation they're having in Damon's bed, like about his room, it just feels very like girl talk.
Yes, because they start talking about like being loved, and Rose says how Elena's so lucky to be loved by so many people, and like she never really got that in her life. And like she calls Elena out for taking the easiest option. She's getting all girl talk in like 2 seconds. Yeah, she's like, I've got no time, girl.
Yeah,
like,
she's been with Trevor talking to a guy for 500 years. She's like, I'm getting my girl talk out.
Yeah, I'm about to die. I have to do it now. Yeah. But yeah, so she calls Elena out for taking the easiest option, like with the Elijah situation, that like making the deal with Elijah isn't actually like the best option. It's just the like path of least resistance. Yeah. And, Elena's like, that's not fair, but like they do talk about it a little bit more, and Elena smartly realizes like that the Moonstone might not have even gotten dispelled, because presumably the witch that helped Bonnie is also Elijah's witch. So she's like, I don't really know what's going on. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting that Elena like already knew. She was like, it probably wasn't even dispelled.
I think she's just so like, I don't want to say bitter necessarily or pessimistic, but like she is leaning towards the bitter pessimistic side about this whole thing, where it's just like, I just think she's not likely to believe that anything is going her way in any which way, because I
think that's true. It's definitely not. Yeah. She's very like jaded almost about it. She's like, yeah.
So Rose gets a cup of blood. Elena like helps her drink it, and she immediately starts spitting it all up, and like it's just not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah, when you can't keep the blood down, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, it's never a good sign. Oh, I forgot to mention though that like Rose is starting to fall asleep, and Elena gets up to leave, but then Rose starts like hallucinating about like prepping the horses, and she starts talking to Trevor and stuff, which is why Elena gives her like the cup of blood to drink. And when she starts spitting it up, Elena goes to the bathroom to get like a wet towel to try to help like clean up. Yep. And she comes back, and Rose isn't even in the bed.
She's gone.
And then she appears out of nowhere and attacks her and starts calling her Katerina, which another red flag. This is not looking good.
It's not looking good if she's thinking you're Katerina.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rose is, of course, she's got like the vamp eyes going. She's like telling Katerina it's all your fault. Like, she's very not happy with her. And Elena is trying to like get her to snap out of it. She's like, I'm not Catherine. I'm not Catherine. Finally, she gets Rose to snap out of it. Yeah. And Rose realizes like,
she's immediately so apologetic. Like she feels so bad, and she tells Elena not to be afraid of her, and Elena says that she isn't afraid. Girl truly has no self-preservation. Let's be real. No. I'd be calling Stefan and Damon ASAP. I'd be
immediately.
like, this is more than I can handle. Let's be real. Like,
I would be leaving that house or sitting like in the window so there's sun or something.
Yeah, sitting outside waiting and being like, I'll help her out, but like I can only do so much.
I can make sure she stays in the house. I don't know.
Like this isn't normal. So Elena, no self-preservation. So she helps Rose back into beds. Like, it's fine.
Yep.
She helps her lay down. She reassures her, like, where she is and who she is. And Rose says she just wants to go home. Oh. And Elena asks her to tell her about it. Yeah. And so she, it's the perfect setup for the later scene because Rose, you know, tells her about England and her horses and just how much things in the world have changed and that she lived her life so afraid. And, that's when she was really happy, like, as a human at home. It's such a setup for later.
Yeah, it's a setup in a lot of ways because it's obviously setting up what happens later in this episode. But then we also see this, like, what Rose has been saying is sticking with Elena. Like, it's setting up that this is sinking in because the camera lingers on Elena for, like, a few moments after Rose gives this whole speech about remembering what it's like to be human and, like, fighting for being a human, basically.
Yeah, I wasn't planning to talk much about it, but this scene is so integral to later scenes in season 3. Like, I mean, the effect that this eventually is going to have on Damon and Elena is, like, astronomical.
Oh my god, if Rose had never come onto the scene, like,
I
don't even know what would have happened with them. No, it completely changes everything for them.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, this whole scene is great. And I also gotta say, sorry for Rose because the werewolf hallucinations feel terrible or seem terrible, but they're iconic.
They really are.
I love them.
I know. I was thinking it's so interesting, like, when they were deciding what to do with werewolves generally, that they decided to do this, but it works so well.
It works
brilliant.
so well. I love that it, like, makes her think, like, Elena is Catherine and that she's in like 1400s again. It's like, it's a very well done, well written, well planned idea. I really like it. Speaking of good plans,
I guess
the bozos out here with no plans at the grill, the men.
I was gonna say the planless.
The planless. Stefan is just watching Jules sitting at the grill.
So weird.
He finally, Alaric just texts him the number to
Isabel's number.
He couldn't be there anymore, I guess. I don't know. So he gets the number for Isobel. And he immediately calls, leaves a message saying it's Stefan, that he's calling about Elena, that it's important, he needs help, whatever.
Yeah.
No answer.
Yep.
Then Damon shows up.
Damon walks in, and Damon sees Jules and starts to go toward her. But then Stefan, like, cuts him off, and he's like, "There are too many people in here."
Do not make a show. Do not do this.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought that was so funny because I was like, yes, Damon is obviously impulsive.
Yes.
And, like, will do things without thinking. But let's be real. He's not gonna do murder Jules in the middle of the grill. He's not that crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever been that crazy.
No, that's another level. Like,
that's another level of, like, not even caring if you risk vampire exposure. Like, I don't know. No. Which maybe he thinks the fighting and stuff would be bad enough, and then if Jules went missing, that would be pretty bad. But, like, she's a random person from out of town. If she just leaves, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, Stefan's being a little extra there. But before he can really deal with this, he gets a call back from Isobel. So he's immediately like,
yeah, never mind.
Yeah, who cares? Let
kill
Damon
her, don't
himself.
kill her. Let's see what happens.
So he goes to take his important call, leaving Damon, of course, to just go straight up to Jules. Mm-hmm. And, he asks her immediately, how do you cure a werewolf bite? And this is where you really start to see Damon's, like, vulnerability coming in, slipping in. Like, he's definitely very earnestly being like, I will do anything, like, for that cure. Like, I just want to know how to heal her. Yeah,
Damon literally says, like, tell me how I can cure her. It's hard to say.
Tongue slip.
Yeah. And I will let you live. Yeah. And we know for Damon that's big. Like,
is he planning to actually promise, like, keep that promise? I don't know.
He does promise her. Jules says, promise me. And I choose to believe him. He says, like, I promise.
I don't believe Damon's word, but we'll never know.
Hard to say. I think he's so, like, upset about this and genuinely wants to cure Rose. I do think he means it in this moment.
Yeah, he does
not
mean
to
it
say
in the
that's
moment.
That promise would last eternity.
Yeah, no. Damon's word is not the same as Elijah's. Let's be real.
No, but it would probably last through the episode if she had a cure.
Yes.
And Jules sort of makes like she's going to tell him, like she starts getting out her card. Like, I don't know. It seems like she might be like willing to go along because she asked him to promise. And then she just goes, bite me. That bitch.
Damon really should have just killed Jules.
Snapped her neck right there.
Screw Stefan. Just make a scene. Who cares? Jules is definitely the most unlikable character of season 2.
Easily.
Because here's the other thing. If you're going to be evil, if you're going to do all these bad things, have some freaking finesse. Bite me.
True.
That's the best you can come up with.
The best you can come.
lame, boring,
loser.
Boo,
yeah,
boo. She's never winning best quote.
No, she really isn't.
Like, come on. I don't know. It's just crazy too that she also doesn't even bargain for any info about Mason. Why would you not lie and be like, oh yeah, I've got a cure, I've got it back home, let me
it's
blah 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 if you tell me where Mason is. Like,
yeah, it's like we've been saying, she doesn't give a shit about Mason.
No,
she doesn't care.
She literally is just there to like play a game and like make some open-ended threats and like win a war or something that she's gonna start for some reason. Like, I don't know, it's so weird, it's so unlikable. So anyway, so going back into some better stuff.
Yeah.
Better, but still bad, is at the Salvatore house.
Well, before this, Jules does say, like, the only cure is a stake through the heart. That's pretty much the only takeaway.
Yeah, she knows nothing.
Which is also so callous.
Yeah.
Hate her.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going. I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, she is being callous. Again, hateable.
Yes.
So at the Salvatore house, Rose, she has just disappeared. Elena, comes back to the room or whatever to check on her. She's not there. So Elena starts looking all over the house, and finally she calls somebody to come help her.
Thank God.
I don't know if it was Stefan or Damon, but she just like leaves a voicemail. It's like,
I think
this is not going well.
Yeah, it's like anyone.
Then she finally finds Rose in the basement.
Yep.
And Rose has consumed dozens of blood bags from the Salvatore cellar, like, cooler.
Yeah, the specific blood cooler. Yeah, she finds Rose with, like, tons of just the empty blood bags all around her.
Yeah, a real glimpse of her future with Stefan. So Elena needed the prep a little bit. Yeah. But as soon as Rose spots Elena, she, of course, calls her Catherine, and she starts chasing her. Elena's having to knock over furniture.
Yep.
And so she chases her all the way upstairs. She's absolutely rabid at this point, Rose.
Yep.
And so Elena tries to calm her down again like she did before, being like, I'm not Catherine, I'm Elena, but it is not working. Like, she's well past that point.
Yeah, it does almost seem like for a second that Rose is going to snap out of it, but then she just goes right back into it. It's not working.
But luckily, our girl Elena, she's so smart. She rips down a curtain, which, of course, you know, Rose doesn't have a daylight ring, so the sun burns her, keeps her away for like a second. And so, you know, she starts to run towards the door.
Smart.
This reminds me of Scream. I love Elena.
Yeah,
we know Kevin Williamson wrote Scream in this.
Yep.
And so it tracks really well. Like, she's smart enough to know, go for the door, try to get out.
Yep.
But of course it doesn't work. Rose does catch up to her because she's, you know, not a regular serial killer. She's a vampire serial killer at this point. And so she catches her and, like, she starts to attack her. But again, Elena's so smart. She digs her fingers into, like, Rose's bite, which is disgusting.
Couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. But yeah, she does that to try to, like, which works, obviously, hurts Rose so bad that she kind of, like, lets go of her.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, does force Elena, like, nowhere to go now except run upstairs. So she has to run all the way up to Stefan's room. She does blockade the door with, like, the dresser or something. She's putting heavy furniture in front of the door as much as she can. And she immediately breaks a wooden chair so that she has a stake at the ready to defend herself. And Rose obviously catches up and is outside the door and is just saying, like, I'm fine now. I'm so sorry, Elena. Like, just come out. Elena, obviously smart. Bad idea.
Yeah,
like,
thank God she's figured it out. I half surprised that she didn't just go back out like, oh, okay, I can help you.
No, she knows. So she stays put. And she also obviously already called Stefan and Damon. So if she lost her phone somewhere in the shuffle, like, she's just got to wait it out. Like, there's just no other option.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's what's going on with Rose right now. Is like, it's like Jules said in the scene before this too to Damon, is like, has the hallucination started? And like she was like obviously being awful to him about all of the things, but it's like they're all coming true now.
They are all happening. She was being truthful, even if she was taunting him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Back at the school for a little bit of a light conversation, I guess. Matt is like trying to find Caroline. He's trying to talk to her about the kiss / like why she wouldn't kiss him because she kind of just like walked away.
Yeah.
And Caroline is just having none of it. Like, she does not want to talk about it. But Matt is like, just tell me anything. Like, how did it make you feel? Like, just talk to me. And Caroline's like, I feel like I love you. I'm like, oh my God, girl. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I feel like it's such a hard place for Caroline to be in because she does love him, and that's like how she feels about it, but like obviously she can't tell him all the lies. And also, I don't love the way that Matt approached this. I felt like he was being a little defensive about it. And he also said anything in the realm of truth would be nice, which I was like, bro, like,
chill.
Is she really even lying to him that much? Like, what lies have really piled up? Like, there's nothing specific he's like asked her that she's lied about. obviously she's not being truthful with him, but like, I don't know. I'm like, where are you even getting this from?
Yeah. No,
also,
nothing comes to mind. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, he kissed her out of nowhere after ghosting her for like several episodes. I
haven't seen Matt in years.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know. It's fair for her to be a little overwhelmed and be like, I don't know how I feel about this. So I don't know. I was like a little like, I sympathize with you a little bit, Matt, in that like obviously she is lying to you. You're in the right there, but also like, I don't know. There's like there's a little bit else going on here where I'm like, I don't know. You just kissed her out of nowhere. Like, that's not exactly fair. But anyway, like you said, she does finally admit that she loves him. But she's like visibly upset when she says it. Like, she's kind of crying.
See, I don't know if this is even how she feels. Like, I don't know if she actually does love him. I feel like it was more of like he's forcing her hand. She doesn't really know what to say.
I think she loves
him. Or even
if
she does love him, it's like you said, it's just so complicated that it's like.
I think she's already started to fall out of love with him out of the necessity of protecting him.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. What's happening. But yeah, he asks her, you know, like, to elaborate on that, like why, if she loves him, is she acting like this? And like obviously she refuses to really say anything else. And then Matt gets distracted by Dana. Love when a random background character appears.
When they actually like reuse characters. I know, it's fun.
Yeah, I think that's her first though. We'll see her again in Klaus. Or in the Last Dance is the one with Klaus.
Yes.
But anyway, so he gets distracted. When he turns back around, Caroline is just gone, just like missing. So she's avoiding. That's
she's avoiding.
Can't fault her for that.
I really relate. Back at the Salvatore house, Damon finally shows up before he shows up, Elena is like finally
she's just
coming
stuck in the room.
Yeah, she's finally like kind of deciding she can come out, but it's night.
It's
so I feel
black
like
outside. How long is she in there?
Yeah, she must have been in there for forever.
Yeah.
She was probably just hoping to, like, if she gets out, like, at least I'll see if someone's come home. Like, I don't know. Yeah, who knows if she even had her phone or whatever.
Although this was arguably the worst time to come out because now Rose can actually just follow her anywhere.
Thinking. It makes no sense to come out now.
Like, it must have been quiet for like hours or something. Like, probably. I feel like, because genuinely, I'm like, how long were Stefan and Damon gone? Like, it's pitch black outside now. And she does decide to come out because presumably it's like gone quiet. Yeah. Like, Rose hasn't said anything at the door. But she does have her steak at the ready, like goes downstairs with it. And she makes it down to the parlor and the front door is just mysteriously open, just wide open. And she like turns and Damon shows up like right in front of her, which, you know, scares her, surprises her a little bit. And he asks, where's Rose? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Rose because, of course, gone. The wide open door, it's dark. She can go anywhere she wants now. Of course she left. So,
yeah.
That's where we've set up now. So now we've got to figure out where's Rose.
Yep.
So we go to the school.
We immediately find Rose. Not Damon and Elena, but
us, the viewers.
Us, the viewers, immediately see, like, Rose is at the school. Again, she's just, like, not looking good. She looks very sickly. She's, like, kind of bent over at one point, like, coughing, maybe, like, almost like
blood.
Coughing up blood. Yeah. And unfortunately, this is why you never ask anyone anything or like ever try to talk to anyone.
Strangers, especially not somebody puking in the back of the
that's
school.
The one throwing up.
Yeah.
And a maintenance worker comes, or someone who's working at the school, like, comes and brings trash into the like garbage bins that Rose is by, and, you know, tries to check on Rose and is like, oh, are you okay? Like, nope. Immediately, Rose goes in for the kill. Yep. Yeah. Bites him, bleeds him dry.
I was really enjoying the high school vibes for a second because they cue us in with the Mystic Falls marching band theme that I love.
Marching band song.
I love when they play that. We haven't gotten that in a minute since Founders Day. So I was like, maybe I do love the high school drama stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
And then, Rose bleeds a worker dry. I was like, yes, this is how these things usually go.
Yeah.
The also usual that happens is Deputy Damon, of course, clocks in for duty. The one place he's not a boss.
I was gonna say, why he doesn't just formally work for Liz, I don't know.
I don't know. But so Sheriff Liz, you know, he's talking to her. They agree they got to find the vampire. They're going to split up. She's going to go that way. He's going to go that way. They got to keep it like cool because there's all these people there that they've just moved inside now.
Yeah, this Booster Club barbecue is still going on.
Yeah, even though they're like, there's obviously a vampire on site killing people.
We'll just move them inside. That's safer.
Yes.
Sure.
So anyway, he's gonna do his cop duties, and again, I really like that this whole episode is feeling like season 1 vibes in like a good way. It is
very season 1-ish.
Like this scene especially, I was like, this is so season 1. This is so like that high school.
Damon and Liz working together.
Yeah. Gotta find the vampire at the function. It's giving career night. Like it's giving.
Yeah, it is kind of giving career night. Yeah,
I really like that vibe. And so Elena is calling Stefan, who's just again MIA.
Yep.
And she like says to Damon, like, have you heard from Stefan? He's like, that's not my priority.
Yeah, he was like, a person just died, Elena.
Okay, like, girl, be real for a second. Yeah. And he gives Elena a stake to like prepare her to go find Rose, which is very telling about where this is going.
Yeah.
And so next we do see Rose, and she's attacking a couple. Again, Damon vibes. We're getting the season 1 vibes.
Yeah.
The woman is like waiting inside the car. The man goes around to go around the car, and he just disappears. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Suddenly he's on the windshield.
It's the windshield. Yeah.
Very early Damon move.
Yep. And then Rose appears and starts feeding on the woman when she gets out of the car to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And the girl screams, of course, and then Damon hears the scream and comes over, and Damon is like, Rose, like, you know, trying to snap her out of it.
Yeah.
And Rose sort of lunges for Damon. They do like a roll or whatever and end up on the ground. And she does eventually, like, once Damon basically like has her pinned, she snaps out of it, and she's very upset.
Yeah, she starts like sobbing. And like, she just says she didn't want to hurt anybody. She realizes what she did, and she like turns to Elena and says like she's sorry. Like she says it kind of directly to Elena. I feel like, we'll talk about this more, but like, you know, Elena is definitely the symbol for humanity and human, and especially to Rose. And so she says the sorry to Elena, I think, because it's supposed to be kind of like a sorry to humanity in that way.
Yeah.
And Damon says that he's going to take Rose home, but Rose freaks out saying she doesn't have a home. Just so sad.
So sad.
And she's saying like repeatedly that she doesn't have a home, and she asks Damon to make it stop. She keeps just like saying make it stop, make it stop. She's just sobbing, and so Damon just picks her up and walks away, and Elena picks up like presumably a stake that Damon dropped.
I think so. She
picks it up off the ground and follows them, and it's just like,
this isn't going to go well.
This isn't going well. When someone is just sobbing in pain, miserable, asking you to make it stop, like, you've only really got one option at that point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the option we've now got to go with.
Yeah. Finally, Damon gets Rose back to the house, and Rose is like a little bit more lucid at this point. She's sort of like come back to, she's in Damon's bed, and she apologizes to Damon. She's like, I'm sorry again. And Damon, of course, you know, he's still trying to do his thing where he's like making light. He's like, you went on like a murderous rampage. It happens, which, more true than she knows, it does kind of happen to Damon and Stefan. And honestly, all vampires. Yeah, it does actually happen. So, for better or worse. But
hers is a little bit different. But
hers is very different. And then, so she apologizes, and Damon says that, and Elena is sort of like seen, you know, sort of like in the doorway.
Yeah, it's interesting how she just hovers. Again, I think it's like Damon said earlier, like Elena cannot help herself but want to help. And like she really has no reason to be there, but she's kind of just hovering in the door watching all of this. And Rose starts to like address her and explain to her kind of like how the bloodlust feels and how it's the worst part of being a vampire, and it like, kind of takes you over. And you know, how it like hurts. Yeah. And Elena, well, so Damon, he's like, oh, well, if it hurts, then stop talking about it. Yeah. And I love how Rose like rolls her eyes when he says that, just kind of like he doesn't get it.
I know.
But I love that she's like saying it for Elena, like that she's like kind of interjecting these thoughts for Elena, because I think she sees that like Elena wants to understand all of this and like wants to get it. Yeah. But Rose starts coughing, and Elena comes closer to help her. And Rose says, like, why are you so nice to me?
I know.
And Elena says, us humans. And Rose says, it's the only thing that keeps me going. This whole scene just kills me.
I know. Episode. It all kills me.
It's so heartbreaking. And again, like, Elena is this humanity thing. And she sees that now. She gets that, which is why she answers, like, us humans. And Damon, now, they've kind of reversed roles now. Elena's very in it with Rose, and Damon's kind of standing on the sides listening, and he's listening very intently. It shows
you
him,
can
like,
see
listening.
He's listening, and definitely being impacted by what Rose is saying.
Yeah, but he's not participating in the conversation, I think, very pointedly. Rose is very definitely using these, like, last moments that she definitely knows are her last moments to, like, psychoanalyze Damon. Yeah,
because earlier she has, like, a little moment where she's saying, like, all these things about how she is explaining the bloodlust and everything, and she says, I wasn't meant to be evil. And then she goes on to explain, she's like, Damon is a lot like me. Like, he wants to feel, like, he wants to be human. Which I think is really interesting that got teed up there.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting she chooses to say that to Elena.
Like, I know, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, saying that to Elena is
so telling.
So, yeah.
It's so interesting. So, yeah, she's psychoanalyzing Damon to Elena, and she's also giving Elena this pep talk about why she should live, because she also says a bit of that in this conversation again as well, about how Elena should try to fight for her life.
Yes.
And she's also, like, analyzing humanity and talking about what it means to be human. Like, she's so philosophical in this scene.
Yeah, she really is.
And I was really tearing it up the first time I rewatched this for this episode. I was like, this is so impactful. Like, Lauren Cohen is such a powerful actress, and she really makes Rose, I don't know, just so important in such a few short episodes. And the writing obviously does a lot for that, but like her delivery is really what like it sells it. So yeah, I was starting to tear up already at this point.
I know.
Yeah, and then Rose really starts like convulsing, like really starts like hacking up along. And Damon holds her and he tells Elena to leave.
To like get out,
she does finally just leave, because I think it's pretty clear to everybody in this situation. It's like, yeah, these are the final,
we know what's gonna happen.
These are the final moments now.
Unfortunately,
and Damon deserves to like have a private moment with Rose, so Elena exits the room.
Yeah.
So before we end that scene, I'm like already like I'm like on the
I
brink.
know.
We'll check in at the Forbes house for some classic teen drama.
Let's lighten it up for a second. Yeah. So at the Forbes house, of course, Caroline's just at home and Tyler shows up.
Well, not even. Tyler's sitting on the porch waiting.
Yeah.
He's there first, which is crazy. Yeah, never a good sign when you get home and a teenage boy
just
sitting on
your porch.
Like,
bad.
Oh,
yeah, like red flag immediately. Yeah, so Tyler is just sitting there waiting for her. And he says they need to talk. And he asks, you know, why would you risk helping me if you knew that could happen to you, that I could kill you? And Caroline, of course, like just in her very Caroline fashion, is like, because you needed help. Like, just like saying, you know, you basically, you know, I'm a good person, I'm gonna help you. Like, just being very Caroline and very endearing. And they're sort of arguing about it. Caroline is,
she starts to get very defensive.
She's very defensive, which is why I said earlier, I don't know if she does still love Matt, but yeah, she's getting very defensive. They're like sort of having a little argument. She's saying he can't accept help, like all these things, on and on. And then he kisses her.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, like the Matt one was pretty out of nowhere, but this one is really out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I was really unsure. Like, did she even know before this moment that she liked Tyler? Like, she might have felt it and just not let herself realize it.
I think that's
because she was still loyal to Matt. I really don't know. I couldn't read exactly what happened in this moment, but of course she does end the kiss and is like, everyone needs to stop kissing me.
Yeah,
she like runs
I love
inside.
that.
I love that too. Yeah, so it's a funny moment where it's like, yeah, I don't know, she's getting forced to like kind of realize some things. But it's interesting too, because I was like, I kind of do think Caroline would help anybody, like,
I do think
in
she
that
would.
way.
Definitely.
Granted, I don't think she'd be in there like, you know, if it were like Alaric right now, I don't think she would like be holding him and like rubbing his back.
Probably not. I would hope not, honestly.
I hope not. But like, I think she would still be there for like anybody to like, I don't know, help them through that. So I don't know, and maybe that is still important to Tyler, where it's like, wow, you're just such a good person. Like,
I think that's more of what it is. I definitely don't think Caroline was ever starting any of this because she was like interested in Tyler.
No.
Yeah, and I think that is why Tyler likes her. I think he knows that too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the way in which she helped him was so like, okay, girl, like, if it were Stefan or
maybe for Stefan, like Damon
or Alaric or Jeremy were in there convulsing and turning into, you would not be rubbing their like hair and like cuddling up with them while they're no. Something different.
We can be honest here.
Yeah, so that's clearly where things are going with Caroline and Tyler, even if she's only realizing it just right now.
Yeah. For whatever reason, after that little, after Caroline runs back inside, Tyler decides to go right to the grill, of course. Yeah.
To Jules.
And Jules finds him and she starts talking to him, and she basically reveals pretty immediately that she knows that he's a werewolf and that Caroline is a vampire.
Yeah. She like says too that like, you know, she could smell her out or whatever.
Yeah.
She could smell all of her friends. And Tyler's like very like offended, obviously. He just kissed Caroline. He's like, I'm in love with her.
Yeah. And Jules also asks, she's like, you know, you couldn't smell the werewolf, like,
The vampires.
The vampires. How long have you been a werewolf? And she sort of is realizing,
because he doesn't answer, and it's pretty pointed where it's like, oh my god, you're brand new.
Yeah, you literally.
I don't know if she realizes like last night was the first time he's turned, but it's like if it wasn't the first, it was probably only like the second or third. Like, they definitely have not been one long. So yeah, she's like trying, and this is the one thing I sort of appreciate about Jules, is that she is so willing and ready to help him, and is just like, she reaches her hand out to kind of grab his, to like be like, we'll take care of you, like there are more of us, although she's like, well, there are more of us, they're coming, like
it's so weird. Her trying to like connect with Tyler a little bit when she realizes he's a new werewolf is like the most humanity, like
it's the most emotional
anything we get
sort
from
of
her
connection, that the only way in which we're like given to like her.
Exactly. And it's so fleeting, because also in this scene she's like, Tyler asks, because I don't think he's really that interested in talking to her at first. Tyler asks like, where is Mason, like where is he? And Jules is like, he's dead. He's dead.
Like, shape up or ship out, buddy.
She's obviously like pulling no punches. She's just very immediately like, he's dead. Oh, and by the way, Caroline killed him.
Yeah. Caroline killed him. Girl, you have no clue.
Caroline wasn't even involved in that at all. Like, literally at all.
But she does reveal to Tyler, too, that, like, this town is crawling.
Exactly.
Yeah. There are tons of them.
Yeah, she said it was Caroline and her friends were behind it.
Yeah. And he does say, like, oh, well, Caroline said there are no other vampires in town. And it's like, clearly, she's unveiling a lot of the stuff that's been going on that Tyler's been so clueless about.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't know. It's just in such a bad way, and we'll get the effects of that in the next one. But she's clearly like, this is also the bad taste. It's nice that she's helping him, but it's terrible that she's spinning it in such a way that's just like devious. Like, she's trying to turn him to her side.
Yeah, exactly, and turn him against like his friends.
Yeah,
or friend, I guess. Just at least Caroline.
Yeah. So I guess we're gearing up for the vampire werewolf war now.
Yeah, so weird that Jules is inciting for no reason, but okay.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the actual
the real plot.
The real plot of this episode, the real meat of it. I don't even want to talk about it, if we're being real.
I know. I kind of love it because I want to talk about it so badly, but I'm like, I kind of don't want to talk about it.
Producer Shay said last night, Producer Shay was like, this will be the first episode you guys cry on the podcast.
I know, honestly. Like, I'm going to force myself not to.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm already feeling teary-eyed just thinking about it.
I know.
So, of course, we start off with Damon and Rose. They're laying in the bed together. Damon tells Rose to fall asleep. And she wakes up in what looks like a countryside. And, there's horses everywhere. She has her long hair again. And, she's clearly in a dress that's from, like, centuries ago.
Yeah.
The 1400s.
Yep.
And there is Damon sitting on the hill, and he's in his black shirt and his black boots, the classic Damon look.
Damon look, yeah.
Also kind of helping us as viewers understand this is not a memory or a flashback or anything. This is clearly, like, a dream that he's giving to her, a fantasy of some sort.
Yeah.
And, Rose asks Damon, like, how he knew about this, like, how he knew to show her this, and he says that Elena, like, which is so funny. When did they find time to talk about that?
I don't know. I feel like my headcanon is like they did have a conversation about like what's gonna come, like what with the rest of this.
Yeah, I think so too. But so this is like Rose's favorite place that she loved as a girl.
Yeah,
and
when she was human.
About that. Yeah, when she was human. Yeah. So she's talking about that.
Yeah, and also very important to note, like, she's currently human in this dream because she's in the sun.
Yes, and she's laying in the sun.
Yeah, it's like back in the 1400s when she was human.
Yeah, and she's talking about how good it feels to have like the sun on her face and like it's just so sweet. And they're having like this philosophical banter. I can't really even recount it now to remember like what they're talking about.
There's just too much going on.
There's so much going on. It's so hard to talk about. But this dream is clearly that perfect last moment that Damon is like giving to Rose. Yeah. And again, like the sun, like she's laying with the sun on her face. It's just like, it's everything I think she wanted and like needed and deserved to have in her last moments. By this point, I'm full on sobbing.
Oh, I'm a mess. I can barely see the TV, so I don't know what happens next. Barely.
Yeah, which is why I can't recount this. My notes are not accurate because I was miserable.
Yeah, the only thing that it's sticking out to me is they're having some of these philosophical debates or whatever, and Rose is talking about how she missed being human and missed having a family and friends. Like, she used to matter.
Yeah.
And Damon says, it's stop, I'm gonna cry. He says, you do matter.
Yeah.
And Rose says, oh, this is even worse. It makes it so much worse. She's like, I don't. No, I don't. But you do. Like, you have people who love you. Like, this is the life you've chosen, and you do matter to these people.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm literally gonna cry.
I know. I'm like tearing up. I'm tearing up.
Seeing you,
we're gonna have to cut. I know.
Oh my god, it's so tragic, and they kind of bounce back from it like pretty quickly because she says like, "Let's just enjoy the fresh air. Let's just enjoy it," which is also so sad because she hasn't gotten that in years, 500
years. And also, she says, let's enjoy the fresh air, and Damon says, for a while we can. Like, her time is limited, and
that this is just a fleeting moment.
I know.
And she thanks him for taking away her pain, and he says he's glad that he could. It's just so, like, again, the acknowledgement that, like, she is dying. These are her final moments. And they speculate again about who she will see when she dies. She's like, maybe I'll see my parents, and she's like, maybe I will see Trevor. I'm gonna cry.
I know. The next line, I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have to like write it on the screen or something.
You guys just have to have the video version and just read it because then she says, I'm not afraid anymore. Yeah. Which is so sad, and I think that's like the confirmation I guess Damon needed to do what he needs to do in this moment. Yep. Because we start cutting back to reality now because we've just been in the dream for most of this scene, and then we see real Damon holding Rose. And he's also sobbing now and is holding a stake in his arm or his hand. And it's so notable, and you might not have even realized this in watching this, but this is the first time that we've seen Damon cry in the whole series. Like, Stefan and Elena cry.
They cry every day. They cry every episode. So it's like, whatever.
I do feel like we're a bit desensitized to it, but I was just reading, like, facts about this episode or whatever. And it said, like, this is the first time that we actually see Damon like, cry.
I never thought about that.
He had the one tear for Elena.
The single tear for Elena,
But that's different. This is, like, different. A full-on, like...
That also wasn't, like, sad.
Yeah, it wasn't sad. It was just, difficult, I guess. So he has the one singular tear, but this is like a full, like, sob.
Yeah. Like, and it builds, too, because they cut back and forth a couple times, and, like, his eyes are welling up the whole time.
Yeah. Yes. So we see Dream Rose tell Damon that they should race to the trees. And they're, like, giggling and laughing about who will win. Because he's like, well, this is my dream. Like, I can make sure that I win. I can cheat.
Yeah, I can cheat. Yeah.
So they're like, oh, my God. They're, like, gearing up to, like, race to the tree line. And she starts counting down. And in reality, Damon, before she can even, like, complete the countdown, like, on the one, basically, he stakes her through the heart, killing her.
Yeah, and she starts sad. To desiccate, and I think this is when like the tears really start flowing. Like this is when really Damon is genuinely like, if there was a question before, he's fully sobbing now, as am I. When I watch this, I'm trying to pull it together right now.
I know. Yeah. I know, but yes, so the camera, like, it really holds on Rose as her face, like, goes gray, which it does most of the time when, like, vampires are killed, but it really holds for a long time. And then it holds even longer on Damon's just devastated looking face. And this, I mean, we've said it already, but, like, we got to say it again, is this episode is just so important to the overall, like, show, and especially this season. Yeah. Not only season-wise, because it shows the stakes of a werewolf bite and a werewolf situation, which is so important setup for, like, the finale.
Everything,
but also for Damon. Like, the unraveling of Damon in this moment and, like, what this moment is doing to Damon as a character within the arc of the series is so, like, astronomical. Like, this is such an intrinsic moment. Like you said earlier, it's like, if Rose had never shown up, like, he would be a different person. Damon and Elena 100%. Would be a different, like, relationship. They never would have gotten together, I think.
No, that's kind of what I was getting at. I don't know if they ever would have even gotten together.
I don't know. Maybe. But, like, it's really hard to say because I think that this is such an intrinsic... It is the most human that we ever see him. It is the biggest crack in releasing his humanity that ever happens in this show. Maybe Enzo could have gotten him there, but even then, I think Rose was, like, said what he needed in this moment. Yeah. And just to make the tragedy even worse, the next scene is, of course, dutiful Damon. He meets up with Liz, and he shows her in the trunk of his car Rose's body to show that he, got the vampire, that he did the thing tonight. It's just so tragic that, like, he had to
go
right
do
thing.
this. Yeah.
It's so devastating that like he had to choose to like do the thing for the safety of the group of like showing that he did the thing to protect the town and like
he had to like throw Rose in the trunk and bring her to Liz,
which probably felt so like disrespectful.
I know,
and just devastating.
I know. Well, this is why I think how this plays out is, you know, Liz is thankful to Damon and, you know, thanking him for saving the town again. And Damon is just very, like, you can tell he's, like, kind of
so
not literally turning it off, because he's not turning off his humanity, but, like, he's trying to turn it off. Like, he's putting on his face.
It's the human way that we all have to do when, like, you're just dealing with so much. Like, if you've ever really dealt with
putting
grief
on your brave
in your
face.
life, where it's just like, you just sometimes have to put on a show and act like you're okay when you're, like, so not okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then he does, back to the, like, feels like he's disrespecting her, throwing her in the trunk. He tells Liz, like, I'll take care of the body.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he just had to prove that he did it.
Yeah.
It's so, like,
it's terrible that he had to go do that. Ugh.
So anyway, he gets home to the Salvatore house, and Elena is waiting at the house to check on Damon to see if he's okay. And he's pretending that he's unaffected, that he's fine, but like he's so visibly not fine. He's
so not fine, yeah.
So he tells her to go home, and he says he doesn't care about Rose, that he isn't upset.
Yeah.
Like, again, he's fine.
Yeah, she says, you know, I'm your friend. Like, I know when my friends are hurting. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like, that's what a friend is supposed to do for each other.
Yeah.
And Damon does finally admit that he feels guilty, that, like, he knows it's his fault for riling up Jules and that she was coming for him and that she got Rose instead. That's, like, the only real admission we get in this scene where, like, which is enough for Elena, I think. Because Damon also goes on to say, like, you know, that would make me human and I'm not human about like his feelings and whatever. So again, clearly the human conversation earlier with Rose has like deeply affected him.
Yeah.
And so he goes after Elena for like giving up on, you know, not fighting for her life, like that she's given up with Elijah and that like she should just go home because there's been enough doom and gloom and general personal growth for the day.
Yeah.
Which is a great line, even though he's devastated.
Yeah.
So he tells her to go home.
Yeah. And
she starts to kind of go like she's about to, but then she just kind of gives him a look. And then she leans in and she gives him a hug. She's such an empath. Like she really like feels that moment for him.
Yeah. And the hug is just so tender, and it's a long hug. Like she holds him for a minute, and the camera mostly focuses on Damon, and you can see like he is so pained, and you can see he wants to cry but isn't, like he's holding it back. I don't know, he just Ian's acting is
really spectacular,
top tier.
You can really see in this moment how so truly he is struggling. And you know, she leaves and says goodnight to him. She just gives him a quick goodnight and leaves. And like she's doing as much as she can with what he's allowing her to do.
She is.
Like he would not have let her like stay the night there to like give like comfort him or whatever. I don't know. So she does what she can, but of course she does go home. So quick sidebar on Elena's story here. So Elena goes home to the Gilbert house where Stefan is just there. Weird. Also, I've got to call this man out for being MIA on like one of the worst days possible. Like, what is wrong with him?
I don't know. I didn't really like Stefan that much in this episode. I was thinking about it when Stefan talks to Alaric at the beginning of the episode, and Alaric at first thinks Stefan wants to talk to Isobel about Rose. But he actually wants to talk to her about Elena. I'm like, oh yeah, Stefan doesn't give a shit about Rose, as evidenced by the fact that he's nowhere to be seen.
Which is weird when he knows that Rose was Lexi's friend. That's so messed up.
It's so weird. Also, like, the Isobel thing can wait. Rose has one day. Like, you have to know she has not much time. Like, come on.
It really is insane. I understand prioritizing, like, Elena in a way. Like, he could be there and be texting Isobel. He can go take a phone call. Where did he have to go all day? That was so important. He had to go to the grill to make that phone call. He had to go to Alaric to talk to him in person.
He can't call Alaric on the phone. It's so...
this is crazy. This is just crazy. It's so unlikable of him to be like, come on. Like, I know you weren't that close with Rose, but the fact that Rose was friends with Lexi, your best friend, and you can't do that for Lexi to try to be there for her.
And is your brother's, like, closest friend at the moment. Like,
it shows how little that he cares about like Lexi and Damon in a way, where it's like you're not going to support someone that they cared about.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just so fixated on the Elena thing. Like,
this is a problem, I think, with Stefan, where he gets so like narrow-minded. It's the scientist Stefan coming out of him. Like, he can get very one track about like needing to solve something. And not thinking about the effects that will have on people. And of course, is perfectly showcased by the answer to what he's been doing all episode. Uncle John steps out of a room showing that that's who Stefan has brought. Not even Isobel. Uncle John. Not that either were great, but let's be real. I was going to say,
the worst of two evils. Like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
the worst of a for sure.
We had to bring him back. I forgot he comes back so early.
Yeah. I literally wrote, great, this guy.
Yeah.
This guy.
This guy. I swear. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be around for a few. So
unfortunately.
Some good, some bad, but mostly bad.
Mostly
bad.
Yeah.
So that's where we're ending up that storyline. Again, teeing up for the next one, because that ends up being like a pretty big factor in the next one. Uncle John being back. Definitely lots of Gilbert family time in the next one.
For better or worse, I guess.
For better or for worse. Yeah. Definitely for worse. This next scene, which is one of my favorite, most iconic scenes.
Oh my God. Lives in my head rent-free.
Maybe of all of the show. I'm not sure.
I think I know every word to the scene, basically.
You do. She was saying most of them when you were just rewatching
I tried to be quiet during the really good part, but I was holding back.
Yeah. No, I love this scene. And it is, of course, the classic Damon laying in the road, quote-unquote, dead moment. It's definitely a callback, again, to those first, few episodes, early season 1 vibes. You know, a woman drives up in her car. She stops. She gets out to check on him, asking him if he's okay. And Damon says he's lost, and she's like, so you're laying in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
But he elaborates, you know.
Not that kind of lost. Yeah. Metaphorically. Existentially.
I love. And
so good.
Yeah, so he asks, can she help him?
Yeah.
Which is just funny, because then she's clearly getting oh, wait a second, this is not seemed like a man injured in the road or something. No, because he immediately pulls a flask out of his pocket and starts drinking from it. She of course realizes that he's drunk, and so she tries to leave like any smart woman would do. Yep. Because she's like, oh, you're drunk. And she goes to leave, and she's walking back to her car, but before she can get to her car, and complete getting into the car, he runs right in front of her and compels her not to move. And she says she doesn't want any trouble, but he says, neither do I.
But all I got is trouble.
It's like, I'm just gonna let you fill in all the lines.
I'll just say the words.
And I just love that. Neither do I, but all I've got is trouble. Because then cue the music.
Cue DLZ TV on the radio.
Spoiler alert for best song, but come on.
It's so obvious.
This song cues in, and it's immediately it's got this kind of gritty rock and roll vibe to it. It immediately,
it's so Damon.
Yeah, if you didn't already know what was going on with this scene, it already cues up of she's
not gonna make it. Yeah,
this is such an existential rock and roll moment. And I also just wrote down the transcript of this scene, because I was like, how else
do you
can
just
we describe this?
Yeah.
I feel like we have to give the cue. Do you want to read his whole little speech here? Do you have it written down, or should I read it?
I do have it written down. I could probably do it by heart too, but I don't want to risk it. I don't want to mess it up. It's so good.
Okay.
But yeah, she seems kind of confused as to what's going on. She doesn't know why she can't move. And then he asks her name, and she says, Jessica. And he says, hi, Jessica. Oh, I'll just read it. I'll read it. I don't want to mess it up.
Read it.
I have a secret. I have a big one, and I've never said it out loud. I mean, what's the point? It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make me good, make me adopt a puppy. I can't be what other people want me to be. What she wants me to be. This is who I am, Jessica.
Oh, it's so good.
Heart-wrenching.
And Jessica, again, just focused on the fact she's probably about to die. Is like, are you going to hurt me?
Yep. And he goes, I'm not sure, because you're my existential crisis. Do I kill you or do I not kill you?
Jessica says, please don't.
And he says, but I have to, Jessica, because I'm not human and I miss it. I miss it more than anything in the world. That is my secret. But there is only so much hurt a man can take.
Oh my God. This scene is just killing me as it's going.
So good.
The fact that this is what Damon would probably be or should be saying to Rose, this venting about humanity and these feelings, and about Elena too. And that without Rose, he's now just had to find a random woman in the road to say these things to. It really just kills me. Yeah. So of course Jessica's please don't. She's pleading for her life. Mostly just please don't, over and over again.
Yeah.
And Damon tells her, you're free.
Yeah, and he starts crying.
Yeah, he starts crying. He says, you're free to go. And so she starts to try to run for her car. But before she can get to her car, he vamp speeds in front of her.
Yeah, the music gets louder.
And
then he bites her. And the music gets louder again. It just really builds the intensity.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it gets to the really, like, heavy rock and roll kind of chorus of the song. And so, yeah, of course, he drains her. She dies. And then it is left again with like kind of the lingering on Damon's face throughout like the camera throughout this episode. This especially, it just stays on his devastated, bloody, stained face. It kind of reminded me of like the Joker or something. The way the blood was like smeared across his like lips, and he's just kind of staring into camera, just looking like so lost and lifeless and clueless and like I don't know. It's just such a, and he still has like the vampire like veins in his eyes. But yeah, it just like absolutely like Ian killed this scene. Like,
oh my God, incredible. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, we've talked about like, you know, Stefan and like the Miss Mystic. Like Paul had a really good episode. Nina were always, Elena and Catherine, she always gets like
she's
really
always
great
killing
scenes.
it. Yeah.
But this is the first one I think where like Ian really gets some serious like material to work with, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He does, I mean, a great job with Damon like throughout the show. But yeah, this is the first one where I said this to Sarah. I was like, I feel like this is real. Like I literally am forgetting he's an actor. I literally feel like Ian is Damon, who is a vampire who misses his humanity. Like,
yeah, he's so Damon.
It's so Damon. Like it's just so well done. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got a scene for him that, and not even just this scene, but like the whole episode. Because when you go from like the Rose dying scene to this scene to like some of the earlier ones, like the range he gets to show through this one episode is like it's an actor's dream, and he does it so well.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of one of my favorite comments we've got on a YouTube review, like an episode a few ago. Danielle commented and said, "God take his suffering and give it to Katerina Petrova."
I know.
And I was like, yes, this is this moment.
That is true in this episode, especially. Like, please take his suffering. Give it to me. Like, give it to anyone else.
God take his suffering. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, Katerina though.
Yeah, Katerina though. I mean, Damon also kind of deserves it for some things.
Well,
but like,
yeah, but
let's
not really.
be real, but not really.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the end of the episode. I don't even want to stop talking about it because I'm like, I love it.
I know. I'm like, I could just say over and over again how amazing this is and how much I love it.
I know everything about it. The lighting, it's kind of foggy. It's very dark. It feels very blue, which is like Damon's vibe. And like, the music again, it's just one of my favorites. So it's just an all-timer for me. This is just one of the best.
Yeah. This whole episode is, I think, in my top 10. I have to say, like I don't
know if I'd put it in top 10, but this scene specifically, is definitely in top 10.
If not, I'd have to really think about it. I'm sure I've said that about 20 episodes. So,
but it's definitely a favorite of the series.
It's, in the season especially. Yeah.
So I think that's it.
I think that's it for the descent. Yeah, we see Damon
descended.
Yeah, we have descended all the way down. But yeah, for this episode, deaths. There were a lot of deaths.
Stacked.
I feel like this has been a whirlwind of an episode. I barely remember, so I'll try to get them all. But there are, I don't know if there are like a number of campers that were killed at the beginning.
Like 4 or 5.
There's by Jules. I thought there were a lot. Yeah, I feel like we see a lot of limbs.
It is a lot of limbs. It's a mass murder by legal standards for sure.
Yes. Yeah, so Jules kills all those people, and then she kills the park ranger. And then we see Rose kill the maintenance worker, the person who's taking out the garbage, and checks in on her. And then she also kills the couple. And then, of course, Damon has to kill Rose.
Yeah.
And then Damon kills Jessica.
So many deaths.
A lot of deaths.
And lots of just different kinds of deaths too. You know, it's almost all like rabid feedings in a way, but like so differently motivated.
Yeah.
You know, Rose obviously through the werewolf venom, Jules through, I don't know, just being a wolf. I guess that's what they do apparently.
Yeah.
Says
we
Jules.
talked about it. Yeah.
and then Damon of course through like grief. So big death episode.
Very big. Yeah.
Not as much out of pocket / would do differently episode because it's so good. I will say, of course, Jules, I'm going to nominate her every single time she's in an episode. Just for everything she does. I don't even have a specific moment again. I just can't stand her.
The moment I thought of, I was like, it's just, she was so out of pocket for being like, Tyler, by the way, all of your friends are lying to you. And also they killed Mason. Yeah. And just saying Caroline killed Mason. She had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was just very out of pocket in that scene.
She always is.
But she always is. Yeah.
Yeah. The only other one I was thinking, obviously, is the writers for killing off Rose so soon. I could have done with a few more episodes. I just love her.
Yes, but I think her storyline is just so perfect.
I agree, but...
And the way they bring her back in season 3 is just so perfect also that I'm like, this one feels less out of pocket to me than like a Mason or something like that, where it's like, I love Rose more, but I don't know. I feel like...
This is what I'm saying. I would have just want like 2 more episodes in there.
Yeah,
it would have been nice
true.
To have
I
her
could
in the
live with
group
1 or 2
bit.
more.
Like her with Damon and her with Elena. That could have been a great trio.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's just give it to Jules. She's always going to win out of pocket. If she's there, she wins. That's my rule.
She's always out of pocket, for sure.
Quotes.
As for quote, I don't know. I mean, everything we just said for Damon. The whole essay, the whole episode even.
Yeah. I've got some funny ones. I did, of course, want to call out Caroline's line after Tyler kisses her.
Okay, that was really good.
Everyone just needs to stop kissing me.
That was funny.
Everyone wants to have to say that in their life. I feel like that's just an iconic thing to have to say.
Yeah, that was iconic of her.
And I did like the one you already called out where Damon says to Rose, "You went on a murderous rampage. It happens."
It happens. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Things. And then of Damon's spiel, I singled out not that kind of lost, metaphorically, existentially. Yeah. That was the one I just felt like stuck with me the most. Where it was like, it's kind of a funny line in a way, but it's so serious in the moment.
Yeah.
And relatable. So
yeah, I like all of those, but I think we got to go with Damon. Yeah. So let's just do like not that kind of lost.
Yeah, I almost feel like we just got to do the whole monologue, but I just don't know if we can. So
I know. We make the rules, but
yeah, realistically, you all know what it is. It's the whole speech.
It's the whole thing. We all know. Yeah.
But for the posterity of it, we will say it is the metaphorically existentially lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think that's good.
And then no competition, no debate needed is the best song of episode 212.
Does not even compare.
Yeah, it doesn't even compare. I didn't nominate anything else because just nothing else could stand up to this. There also weren't, like, there were 2 other songs maybe in the grill.
I will say I did want to give a little shout out. It doesn't even compare. Like, it's not even close. But I thought also the scoring in Rose's dream, Rose/Damon's dream, was really well done. Like, it starts off really light. It's like piano. And then basically in that moment when you realize where this is going, it gets a little bit darker, a little bit more like the usual Vampire Diaries scoring. Yeah. It was very well done. So I thought I'd call that out.
The show has great score. It
does. It definitely does.
Very well always.
But obviously it doesn't even compare.
Yeah. Obviously the winner for best song for 212 has to be DLZ TV on the Radio. Yep. Which is the last song that plays as, Damon kills Jessica and is having his existential crisis in the road. Yeah. We often forget to talk about how thematically well chosen the songs are. A lot of times after, I'll kick myself. I'm like, why did we not talk about how that perfectly goes with what's happening in the scene? But this is one where I specifically was like, I have to remember to call out that the lyric that they end on as they're on Damon's face is "Who's next?" Which I was like, what perfect usage. Everything about the song is perfect, but I also like the lyrical parallels of I don't know, kind of hinting to us this is not the end of this. Damon is spiraling.
Yeah, and when it first starts playing, it's something about I feel like I should know the lyrics to this song by heart because I listen to it every day. But it's something about this is the mess you made or something or that you left me with, and it's it fits so well for the moment. It fits
so well, and it's such a good song. Like you said, listen to it every day. Yeah. This is genuinely, we haven't said this I think since season 1, but this is genuinely one of my favorite songs in Vampire Diaries. For sure, it's in my top 5. For sure.
Yeah, it literally made my Spotify top 5 this year.
It was in my Spotify top 5 too.
So it definitely makes my top 5.
Yeah, it is in my Spotify top 5 as well. It's just such a good song. We love to be on the radio, and then this moment with Damon, it's the perfect pairing. It's the dream pairing. Yeah. So yeah. DLZ TV on the Radio. I'll be adding that to our Song of the Episode playlist where we have every winner of Best Song throughout the show so far. You can find that linked in our various bios and descriptions, as well as our Instagram and our TikTok where we always post fun videos, polls, other various clips and things. So you can check that out.
And you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can watch the video version on YouTube if you're not already doing that. So go check us out there and join us next week for Season 2, Episode 13, Daddy Issues, I'm pretty sure. Okay, yeah. this like stretch of the episodes gets a little like blurred for me, but
yeah, probably blocking out the next episode is a very Uncle John and Jules heavy episode.
Oh my god, so. A nightmare duo. Yeah,
but like, you know what's the best part about it? Elena gets a ponytail.
Okay, yes, I did.
So come back next week for Elena's ponytail.
Okay, yes, I am here for the Elena ponytail moment.
Yeah, always. So thanks for watching and or listening to this one. Hope we see you next week. Bye.